of the year. Well, we'll go ahead and get started. We really don't have too many things we want to cover today. This is the last media briefing of the year. And as most of you know, we've had a pretty good year. I mean, from keeping Cargill and Wichita to the announcement of building a new baseball stadium to a number of city improvements, groundbreakings, business growth, ventures. It's been a great year. And so I've been very privileged, from launching a ship to getting the opportunity to go to New York with Spirit. Looking forward to what next year brings. And it's going to be a great year next year. Just to let everyone know, we are going to start the Walk a Longwell next year. So starting in January, we're going to have an opportunity for individuals to spend some quality time with the mayor if they want to make a pitch for programs or opportunities where potential funding may need to go, or a wide variety of discussion can take place while we're walking around the city. And so we think that would be something that would be beneficial to both myself, the citizens of the city, and organizations that just want to spend a little bit of time sharing ideas and pitching the latest, greatest thing that they would like to see happen in the city. And so I'm looking forward to that. Megan told me I need to start walking more, and so it was really her idea to do. I wanted to do sit along well, and she said, "No, Mayor, you got to do a walk along well." But I'm good with that. We do have a blood drive that's going to be at City Hall Wednesday, December 21st between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. It is the holiday season. We encourage people to come by and donate, or if you can't donate at that point in time, make an appointment with the Red Cross, and they'd be happy to do that. It is the Battle of the Badges, and so the police, the sheriffs, the Sedgwick County EMS, the fire department are all part of this Battle of the Badges that are trying to see who can outdo each other by donating the most blood, and it's a great contest that ultimately saves lives. So looking forward to that. I do want to mention to those that are here, because it did get a little bit of press yesterday when we talked about spending a little bit of money from the Hyatt proceeds on city streets. And we mentioned that that's an item that's going to be voted on next Tuesday by the City Council. We're going to take $10 million from the Hyatt proceeds and put it into neighborhood streets. So I mentioned yesterday that we spend about $150 million annually on arterial streets, bridges, water and sewer infrastructure. What we didn't have yesterday, and what I will present to those that are here today, is a map. And so you can be the first in the city to have access to a couple of maps. One that shows all of the asphalt streets that have zero drivability or grade on the city street. This is the map that the individual council members are going to be utilizing next Tuesday when we talk about which neighborhoods are going to get the dollars spent in there. And these are the neighborhood streets off the main arterials that are going to get refurbished. What we do know is we're not going to be able to do every street. So we're going to be able to impact about 41% of every street that now shows about a zero grade life. Now we have a map of all the asphalt streets, and this shows all of the asphalt streets that have zero life left in them that we're going to fix. And then we have another map of all of the aging concrete streets that we're going to impact. And so what we have, again, for those of you that are here today, as staff has brought down your very own map that you can take with you. And if you need an electronic version, we can help you out with that too, probably. We're not going to hand it to anyone that's not here today. So that your friends that didn't show up, Ted, are just out of luck. But this is the kinds of opportunities that I'm excited about that shows that we truly are investing back into neighborhoods where it'll make a difference and create community pride in a different way. And so we're looking forward to making this investment, and it starts next week with a formal council vote, but you all are getting the very first look at those maps and where those neighborhoods will be impacted. So I appreciate you showing up. We have a lot more that's going to happen next year. I'm going to continue with these press conferences because we want to be as open and transparent as we possibly can be. Looking forward to, again, what next year brings, and I appreciate all of you showing up. Now, I do want to turn this over. We have Battalion Chief Bevis and his friend here. I guess both of them are your friends. Corey's a little suspect some days, since she was giving us a hard time about having a bad hair day. It doesn't appear she can have a bad hair day. But Battalion Chief is going to talk to us about the necessity to be a little more careful during the holidays and pertains to fire safety. And so I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. During the holiday season, the fire department has decided we were doing the 25 days of fire safety, of Christmas fire safety, and we've been doing that through our social media outlets, on Facebook, a little bit on Twitter, and also using the Nextdoor application to be able to get a message out. So each day we've been putting out a new message to try to get people's attention. And unfortunately, some of these messages actually end up ringing home because we've already had fire incidents that may have been prevented if these messages would have gotten out to people or been recognized. Some of the things that we're talking about include, the basic things for cold weather, whether it's space heaters, safety, or candles. Of course, with the Christmas trees, talking about making sure if you have a live Christmas tree that you're keeping it watered. Of course, we have Sporty, our retired canine, up here, and one of the funny little images that showed up there was a bunch of dogs talking to make sure everybody had watered their Christmas tree, and every dog in the house said they had. So that was good. But on the sad part, we've had a couple fires this season already where people have felt concern for their pets' welfare, and they've put heating lamps in a dog house and one in a rabbit hutch. And that is a practice that we advise against. In both instances, that led to fires, and that's something that we want to highlight. Most of the time in a dog house or any kind of pet hutch, you start putting a warming lamp in there, it's usually a recipe for disaster because it comes in contact with the bedding, and we end up having a tragic loss. So throughout this time, we encourage everybody to visit our Facebook page, Wichita Fire Department's Facebook page, to take a look at these tips and guidelines so we can all have a very safe holiday. And that's what we're aiming for.
Battalion Chief, appreciate it. Corey, who is your friend here?
This is Sporty.
You want to talk about what Sporty does briefly?
Sure. Sporty is our retired canine. She is an accelerant detector dog. She comes up a couple times a week and visits everybody in the building. So if you see her roaming around, digging in your trash can, that's probably her. Recently, about a year ago, we have Buddy, who is our new canine accelerant detector dog, and he works with Captain Kelly Zane for FIU. And sometimes they get to play together on our Tuesday and Monday morning meetings, and it gets a little rowdy sometimes, but we're glad to have both of them.
Thank you, Corey. It might help our council meetings go better if you would bring your friend to the council meetings beforehand and calm us down a little bit. Therapy dog for the council. Well, thank you both for being here, and we appreciate it. Just want to make sure that I have the right information out to you today. Again, the maps on the streets. That's all of the streets in Wichita that have a 0 grade. We will not fix all of them with the Hyatt money, but we're going to hit a big chunk of them. And the decision next Tuesday by the council members' vote will start us down the process of which of those streets get impacted. But it'll be a great start. The reality is it's going to put more money into neighborhood streets than we've ever had before. and more money into neighborhood streets than even what was proposed with the 1 cent sales tax that was on the table a few years ago that didn't get voted in. But this will have a greater impact than even that 1 cent sales tax would have had on neighborhood streets.
Do you remember what that was?
8 million.
8 million? Okay, awesome.
Yeah, so the proposal in the sales tax was 8 million over 5 years, really, because it was a 5-year collected tax. This is going to be 10 million shot all at once, and so it will really make a difference, and we're excited about making that investment. As you heard just recently at one of our council meetings, we continue to invest heavily in our water and sewer infrastructure because of the aging infrastructure, and that's what's been driving our water rates and sewer rates, not the cost of making water, it's the cost of changing out that aging infrastructure. And so we're catching up, we're getting there, and we're trying to invest more. I know that the manager's planning on, I think in 2019, adding an additional $1 million to our street program. And then again, we'll ratchet it up to, at that point, I don't remember the exact number, 10 million? Are we going to get that up to 10 million a year? So 10 million a year that we will put into, in a sense, what will be, much of our neighborhood streets programs, because the other monies come from other sources when we talk about that 150 million. But if you look at the 10 million, when I came on council just a few years ago, we had fallen all the way down to, I believe, under 6 million, 4 million a year, yeah. So that's a big change in the investment that we're making in Wichita today, and I'm excited about this opportunity to take those dollars from the Hyatt and invest in neighborhoods. So, any other questions?
I just wanted some clarification. You mentioned in your remarks earlier, and city spends $150 million annually, streets, bridges,
Water and sewer infrastructure.
water and sewer infrastructure.
So
it's the
that's
whole thing.
replacing all of the old pipes that are underground.
Okay, so it's
And in some cases where we're talking about water and sewer, it's making modifications to the plants and some of the stuff that we have to do to stay in compliance. And so I shouldn't say it's all underground. Some of it is above ground, but the majority of it's aging infrastructure that we're changing out. That includes a big investment on that force main that's getting ready to be replaced right now in the city from down south that goes from plant 1 to plant 2, which is a very large endeavor that we heard last week by shutting off, I believe it was MacArthur, for 1 week period. It saves us something like $500,000 or some. Is that pretty close?
I think it is.
And so that's a big investment. So, George, did you?
How will the process be? How will the process be for deciding which streets are repaired from these maps?
So we're really letting the individual council members that are most acquainted with their district to help make that decision. And so that will be up to every council member as we get together and say, here's the investment. So Tuesday's decision is we're going to spend $10 million on neighborhood streets. And then we'll work with the individual council members to make sure that we have the right set of those streets that they are most concerned with as we improve those to 100%.
So there could be fluctuation, maybe on this?
The map's not going to change. So that is the map of the streets that need to get done. The only hitch is if we had, we're not going to be able to do every single street right now. We're only going to impact about half of them or close to it.
What about, if we're talking about an area, you mentioned water and sewer, if there's, that there might be aging water and sewer lines underneath that street, how will you address that?
So that again are those things that we've been coordinating for a long time between departments and between other agencies. And so we reach out to other individuals, whether it be AT&T or Cox or anyone that might have infrastructure in place, when we go tackle a street that we're going to totally revamp, we make sure we coordinate that with anybody that might have services in the right-of-way or under the street. So in the cases where we will make full replacements, we will still do that. The majority of the neighborhood streets won't be a total dig out and tear out. They'll be a grind down and replaced and then coated. Some of the concrete streets will be a total tear out. But we always address now the coordination of all of the different departments, agencies, whether they're city, county, or private industry, so that they know, here's your opportunity if you need anything to be addressed, including in some cases, we've seen them even lay down empty lines for future development, for pulling cable and those sorts of things. Any other questions? Well, have a Merry Christmas and Happy Holiday season, and we encourage all of you to spend some time with your families and friends, and if you don't have any of those, then Corey will lend you her friend over there that can spend some time with you, and that's always a good thing. So thank you all for being here, and enjoy the rest of this year.